started talking about this in the early 1990s, and very few people were ready to hear about it. I have had a relationship with human beings from the constellation of Andromeda. They're an incredible race. Now, they're not gods, okay? In the metaphysical community, in the UFO community, the New Age community, it's dangerous to worship your myths and your idols, because when you do that, you don't necessarily see their faults. And everybody has faults. They are a fifth-dimensional race. They are technologically 10,000 years more advanced than us, and spiritually probably closer to 50,000. But they still have their own issues, okay, with their own society. They're still evolving. Regardless of who makes first contact, who shows up afterwards, bottom line is this: we are all at different stages of evolution, but no one is better than any other. The Andromedans first came here because something happens in the future. And there's a very negative imbalance that occurs in their future. And in tracing it back, they traced it back to our solar system. We are getting all kinds of help and intervention from many different races. And the reason for that is fascinating, to be perfectly honest with you. And it's probably going to take a little while for it to sit with you, but it's important that I do the best that I can to share this. It is the Andromedan perspective that all of us on this planet are genetic royalty. That inside each one of us, we hold the combined DNA of 22 different extraterrestrial races. Many of us have already been through this cycle of evolution on a spiritual level, okay? So now you have highly spiritually evolved beings who came in to time, choosing to forget who they were, stepping into genetic royalty physicality. Now, within that physicality and that genetic makeup that we also have the racial memories of these races. Now, that's profound, because when you take a look at the idea that many of these different races come from completely different environments, completely different living habitats and ecosystems, which we'll talk about, there truly is absolutely no limit to what we are and what we can do. We're going to get all the help in the world, but they are not going to do the work for us. They're just not. They can't. We will never permanently spiritually evolve third density into fourth into fifth if they do the work for us. And that does not mean, and that literally means, not everybody's going to graduate on this planet. Okay? But that's okay. We're all soul. We're all spirit. People start over all the time. Okay? The Andromedans are light blue skinned. They have three sexes: androgynous, male, and female. They live in a spiritual community where their lifespan is anywhere from an average of 1,900, 1,800 years to 2,300 years. Some of their race actually live much longer, but that's the average. Their children go to school to what would be the equivalent of our years, 150 to 180 years, where they learn all the sciences, they get all the degrees, and everything that is available as far as knowledge at the moment is taught to them. So when these kids grow up, they are in fact smarter than their parents. And that's called the law of consistency, which is what they practice. All right? They would never, ever consider dumbing down their children so that they could be managed or controlled, because that's sabotaging the race. They travel in arcs, or motherships, we would call them. The one that I'm the most familiar with, that I spent 3 months on, is an 800 miles cylindrical sphere that has hundreds of floors. It is much bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. And I have no idea how they do that. I still don't know. But even their scout craft are bigger on the inside than they are on the outside. They have these enormous parks on the inside where they grow all their food. They are fruitarians. Okay? They breathe oxygen like we do. They drink water like we do. But they live off of fruit. And they grow these type of fruits on their craft. They have 20, 30, 40-mile parks on virtually every floor, and along the sides of the parks is where they habitate. There's like apartments all around the circles. And there's wildlife, there's animals, there's birds, things that look like squirrels. There's all these different life forms. They have animals that, well, the closest thing they have is something that looks like a squirrel, but it isn't a squirrel. Okay? But it's very clever, and all the animal life is telepathic. It completely interacts with all of the people there. The children are all telepathic. They do not speak. Very few do. Morine has learned to speak, and that's because of my relationship with him over the last 40 years. He made an effort. My relationship with the Andromedans have been primarily with two beings. A very old gentleman, a sage. His skin has gone pale because of his age. His name was Phaseus. Phaseus was about 4 foot 11, 4 foot 9 tall. Very old. In our years, he was 4,300 years old. So he was like a Yoda, but very stiff, very stiff. Morine, on the other hand, is 2,300 years old. He was very young, very strong. He's 7 foot tall, 400 pounds, and he's just perfect. At one point, Phaseus reached under the table, pulled out something which looked like a little yarmulke. It was metallic that had a hole in the center. He placed it on my head, and instantly a monitor directly in front of me pulled out of the wall and started showing me scenes, like movie clips, except they were scenes from lifetimes. And as I'm watching this, I am having a profound emotional effect watching this. And I know that that's me. I knew that the past lives that they were showing me were me. And it was me in completely different bodies, extraterrestrial bodies, different life forms, male, female, androgynous, and it was me. And I knew it was me. Ladies and gentlemen, it was profound. It was absolutely profound. They told me that they had come back to visit because genetically, or on a soul level, I was part of them. That I had come here 62,000 years ago as an outpost on Earth and got caught between a skirmish between two other rival extraterrestrial races here, and I was killed. So I had been here for a while, trying to evolve out of this. Or I made choices to be here. I don't exactly know that. Now I know I can't prove any of this to you. But it's real for me. It's totally real for me. And I share that with you because as you're exercising discernment, those of you who are here just exploring, trying to figure it out, you are soul first. Okay, the physicality is the last part of you. You are soul first. And the soul is far wiser than the body will ever be. And I know that. Okay, so this was very real and is real for me. I love them. I absolutely love them. They are my brothers. They are my family. And the Andromedan people love us because genetically they're connected to us. And they have been extremely worried about us for a long time. There was a meeting to decide what to do here. There was a great deal of concern about intervening to assist us in our evolution because there were outside influences that were doing everything they could to suppress our evolution. A very large contingency, fortunately, thought that it was in not only their best interest, but in our best interest to at least give us the opportunity to make our own choices without being manipulated. But the reality is, the reason it's coming from the outside is because we pulled it here. Us. Okay, as a collective consciousness. We pulled all that to us. We even pulled the ETs here. And they've been here for a very, very long time. Okay, the worshiping of the gods, Hermes and Titan and yada, yada, yada. Okay? We did that. We do have a window, however. And I know that there's a lot of talk of 2012. I honestly do not know what's going to happen. I don't know exactly how it's going to happen. I don't necessarily know that I want to know. This is quite an adventure.